Chasers. Recently we had a subscriber spotlight submitter from Lori Nemec. She is a subscriber from Somerset County, Pennsylvania, and she went to Nashville, Tennessee. And she sent us all of her pics and videos from that place.
Nashville, that's a place where we've always wanted to go.
We've always wanted to go to Nashville, never had a chance to go. But we're going to take a look at that in just a second. But before we do,
remember to hit that subscribe button and the notify bell. That way you'll get an alert every time new content from the Fun Chasers is coming your way.
So if you want to become a subscriber spotlight submitter, all that you have to do is hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, or send us an email at talesfromthefunchasers@gmail.com, or the easiest way, just leave a comment on the video below. And now for the reason that we're all here, to see Nashville.
Awesome.
Let's take a look.
This is Lori. She and her cousin Kim and sister Tanya went to Nashville. And as luck would have it, they were there the same week as the CMAs. Needless to say, the place was buzzing with activity, country music, and fun. One of the best ways to start any visit to Nashville is by stopping at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. Here you'll see Minnie Pearl's dress, the Webb Pierce car, Elvis's gold-plated Cadillac, many of Chet Atkins' guitars, and one of my favorites, the Hee Haw cornfield. Believe it or not, those corn stalks were made of fabric. Some other notable exhibits are the Pontiac Grand Am used in the Smokey and the Bandit 2 movie, Keith Whitley's motorcycle, a still used by Tom T. Hall, Vince Gill's shoes, Brad Paisley's very first guitar. His grandfather bought it for him from Sears when he was 8 years old. Now, speaking of guitars, something else cool that the museum does is how they pay tribute not only to the artists, but to their instruments. Maybelle Carter of the famous Carter family played a Gibson L5 that she paid $275 for in 1928. Bill Monroe played a Gibson F5 that was produced in the 20s. In 1985, an intruder to his home smashed the instrument, but the Gibson Company was able to put it back together, and Monroe played it until his death in 1996. Earl Scruggs played a 5-string banjo made by Gibson in the 1930s. He actually traded for the instrument in the late 40s and used it to record his famous Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Lester Flatt, Scruggs' partner, used a Martin D28 produced in 1950. He purchased the instrument from a West Virginia pawn shop. And last but by no means least, the great Hank Williams played a Martin D28. The scratches on the top show the amount of use that it had, and Williams' son, Hank Jr., used this instrument in many of his concert appearances. About a mile from the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum is where it all began, the Ryman Auditorium. This is the original Grand Ole Opry, and believe it or not, it's still occasionally used for concerts. There are so many places all around Nashville where you can have a drink, a bite to eat, and catch a star, or a future star performing some fine music. While you're in Nashville, you'll want to get your sweet tooth on and make a stop to pick up a bag of Goo Goo Clusters, a Nashville staple since 1912. The Goo Goo Cluster is considered to be the first combination candy bar ever created, and it's found right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Another Nashville attraction that you can't miss is a trip to Cooters. Yep, that Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard. The museum is chock full of all things Dukes of Hazzard, including Cooter's tow truck, Daisy Duke's Jeep, Roscoe P. Coltrane's police car, and miniatures of the set, and of course, the General Lee. Just outside of town is a historic site where many of country music's legends are laid to rest. The Spring Hill Cemetery is the resting place of Earl and Louise Scruggs, Roy Acuff, George Jones, and Tammy Wynette, just to name a few. And what trip to Nashville would be complete without a visit to the Grand Ole Opry. With its 80-foot guitar welcoming visitors, the Opry has been showcasing performers since 1925 and currently has the longest-running radio show in history. The Opry Showcase is a mix of contemporary and famous artists performing country, bluegrass, gospel, and American folk music. And you know what Lori tells me? She says there's not a bad seat in the house.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And for even more fun tales, please go to our website at www.thefunchasers.com.